When my fiance Wesley casually suggested that his female bestie should be one of my bridesmaids, I didn't even try to hide my grimace. I've read enough of these stories, I said, setting my coffee cup down with a deliberate click. The platonic female friend always ends up sliding into the wife slot. The actual fiancé gets cast as the villainous third wheel. Honestly, maybe we should just call the wedding off. Wesley panicked instantly, reaching across the table to squeeze my hands. Gwen, baby, don't talk like that. You're overthinking it. Roxy is basically a guy. She's loud, she's crass, she drinks beer out of the can. We're just brothers, pure camaraderie. I nodded slowly, pulling out my phone and opening TikTok just to make sure she isn't using the bro card to slowly chip away at our boundary lines. Need a crash course in pick-me girls and their endless playbooks? Here's a playlist of 100 videos documenting their classic moves. Once you watch them all, we can talk about setting a date. 100 videos later, Wesley sat there thinking in sheer disbelief at the calculated maneuvers of the modern pick-me. Okay, some of these are wild, but it's all just coincidences. Gwen, Roxy would never do stuff like this. I didn't argue. Instead, I slid a pre-printed piece of paper across the counter. Great. Then you won't mind signing this pick-me liability agreement. What's this? He muttered, scanning the page. A penalty clause, I said smoothly. Every time she pulls one of these classic stunts, you owe me. Sharing a water bottle or cup, $10,000. Falsely accusing me of something, $20,000. And if she ever pulls some dramatic stunt that results in me being pressured to donate blood or organs to her, you sign over the deed of our new house to me entirely. Wesley looked at the terms, shaking his head with a patronizing laugh. Fine, fine. I'll sign. But you're wasting your time, Gwen. Roxy isn't like this. You won't see a single dime. The universe, however, loves a good irony. It didn't take long for reality to slap him across the face. Wes, holy crap, I'm dying out here. Give me some water. Roxy burst through our front door without knocking, drenched in sweat and wearing an oversized men's basketball jersey. She didn't care about personal space, let alone manners. An unopened bottle of water sitting right on the kitchen island. Naturally, she ignored it. Instead, she grabbed Wesley's half-empty tumbler, threw her head back, and chugged. Ah, much better, she sighed, wiping her mouth with the back of her hand. I swear, Wes, water just tastes sweeter out of your cup. My eyebrows shot up. Before I could say a word, Wesley jumped in defensively. Gwen, that's just how Roxy is. If we make a big deal out of a little water, we'll just look petty and insecure. I didn't waste my breath arguing. I unlocked my phone, clicked play on a video, and slid it directly under his nose. On screen, an influencer was explaining rule number 3 of the pick-me girl, indirect kissing disguised as sharing. She will always prefer his cup over her own. The defensive lecture Wesley had prepared died in his throat. He cleared his throat, face turning a brilliant shade of crimson. Roxy, he muttered, rubbing the back of his neck. Maybe don't do that. It's, kind of unsanitary. Roxy froze, her jaw dropping. She clearly hadn't expected her fiercely loyal bro to take my side. Wes, are you serious right now? You think I'm dirty? Her eyes welled with instant, theatrical tears. We literally shared popsicles when we were kids. Now that you've got a fancy fiancé, I'm suddenly an outsider, is that it? She slammed the tumbler onto the coffee table with a loud thud and spun on her heel. I tapped the screen again, loading the next video. Rule number 4, the strategic exit. She will storm off to play the victim and make him chase her. Roxy's back stiffened for a fraction of a second, then, letting out a dramatic sob. She fled out the door and into the humid night. Roxy, wait. Don't do anything stupid. Right on cue, Wesley bolted upright from the sofa. But before he crossed the threshold, he couldn't resist throwing a glare back at me. Gwen, she's just simple-minded and blunt. Can't you be the bigger person for once? I stared at him, genuinely amused by his sheer lack of logic. She's the one who engaged in indirect kissing, slammed my cup, and threw a tantrum in my house. How exactly am I the one lacking grace here? Wesley cut me off without thinking. She did that because she considers you family. You're the future wife here, Gwen. You need to show her some grace and tolerance. So, what you're saying is, I should sit here and smile while the two of you swap saliva right in front of me. Wesley exhaled a heavy, exasperated sigh. Just apologize to her, okay? Give her an out. If she gets hurt out there tonight, it's on us. Demanding the victim apologize to the instigator is a classic trope for the spineless male lead in cheap soap operas. I remarked coolly. Wesley's face went rigid. He didn't dare utter another word. I opened my bank app, pulled up my QR code, and held it out to him. Rule 1 of our agreement, sharing a drink. That'll be $10,000. Pay up, sweetie. Apparently, Wesley found Roxy at some dingy dive bar downtown. She was completely wasted, draped all over a group of shady-looking guys. When Wesley finally hauled her back to our place on his back, she was still kicking and screaming. Let me go. I don't want to be here. Gwen hates me. She thinks I'm a scheming bitch. Oh, God, Wesley's heart clearly bled for her. He gently wiped her tear-stained face as if she were made of fragile porcelain. Roxy, stop. Nobody hates you. You're just too honest for your own good. People misinterpret it. He could, no matter who I marry, you will always be my best friend. Nobody can ever replace you. Roxy squinted up at him through her drunken haze, wrapping her arms tightly around his neck. Pinky promise if you lie, you're a dog. I watched the entire display with detached amusement. The internet forums weren't lying. When confronted with a friendship that has zero boundaries, fiance's dignity is treated like scrap paper. Thank God I had mentally checked out early on. If I actually loved him, this would have broken me. Wesley noticed my cold, observant gaze, and his face instantly darkened. Roxy is practically alcohol poisoned, and you're just standing there like a statue. Do you have a single shred of empathy, Gwen? I shrugged. What do you want me to do? Just go wring out a warm washcloth so I can clean her up. Getting a washcloth, simple enough. I went to the linen closet, selected a thick, plush white towel, folded it neatly, and brought it back. Roxy was half squinting as her hand reached for the towel. Wesley turned his back to grab a glass of water. In that split second, she looked directly at me and raised an eyebrow in a silent, mocking challenge. Ah, yes, episode 12 of the Pick Me playbook, The Martyr's Trap. I remained entirely still, eager to see just how far she was willing to go to hurt herself. Roxy took the folded towel. I watched her fingers slip deftly, folds for a split second before she pressed the steaming cloth flat against her face and dragged it down hard. Ah, the white towel tumbled to the hardwood floor, rolling out from the fabric were two silver sewing needles, gleaming under the vanity lights. My face. Wes, what did Gwen put in this towel? She shrieked, clutching her cheek. Wesley didn't even pause to think. He spun around and shoved me out of the way. Gwen, are you insane? You hid needles in the washcloth? Caught off guard, I stumbled backward, the sharp corner of our wooden sideboard slamming hard into my lower back. A sharp gasp of pain escaped my lips. Gwen, I am so incredibly disappointed in you. Are you really so threatened by Roxy that you'd resort to disfiguring her? Gritting my teeth against the throbbing pain in my back, I pulled out my phone once more. Attention viewers, the TikTok creator's cheerful voice echoed through the bedroom. When a toxic friend feels her grip slipping, she will resort to extreme self-sabotage. Watch out for needles or razor blades planted in towels or cosmetics to frame the partner. The actress on screen was executing the exact same hand gestures Roxy had just pulled off. Did you forget the videos already, Wesley, or is that brain of yours purely decorative? The room fell into a heavy, suffocating silence. Wesley's righteous fury instantly evaporated. He awkwardly shuffled out of the room, mumbling about finding a band-aid. He didn't even glance at my lower back, which was already bruising, let alone ask if I was okay. Once Wesley finished patching up his bro and calming her down, my phone buzzed. A banking notification popped up. Wesley sent you $20,000. Excellent. Day 1, and I was already up 30 grand. Driven by a deep sense of guilt, Wesley was on his absolute best behavior over the next few days, catering to my every whim. Roxy, too, seemed to have undergone a sudden personality transplant. Suddenly, she was all smiles, bringing me bowls of sliced fruit and pouring my tea with sickeningly sweet devotion. Here you go, Gwen, try some of these grapes. Wesley's eyes practically welled with tears at this display of sisterly harmony. See, Gwen, I told you Roxy doesn't hold grudges. She's got a heart of gold. Let's put the past behind us. To reward her good behavior, Wesley, shopping spree at the luxury mall downtown that afternoon. On the 4th day, Wesley's younger cousin, Cody, returned from his study abroad program in London. Wes, check it out. I got you this vintage Dunhill lighter, Cody announced, throwing open a suitcase in the living room. And Roxy, I got you that signed soccer jersey you wanted. He had gifts for everyone, even a box of Belgian chocolates for our housekeeper. I was the only one left empty-handed. I didn't care in the slightest. I quietly retreated to my room to check my bank account balance. It was far more comforting than any souvenir. But Wesley finally noticed the awkward gap. Cody, where's Gwen's gift? Cody scoffed, crossing his arms. Gwen, please. Roxy's the only sister-in-law I recognize. Grandma Helen, who had just walked through the front door, caught the end of that sentence. She marched over, grabbed Cody by his ear, and gave it a vicious twist. You little punk, what did you just say? Say it again. Grandma Helen was 75, but she had the voice and grip of an army general. Gwen is the woman Wesley is marrying. She is the future mistress of this house. Who is this Roxy girl? A freeloading hanger-on. Since when does she deserve your respect over Gwen? Freeloading hanger-on. The words hit Roxy like a physical slap. Her face flushed a deep, ugly red, but she didn't dare talk back to the family matriarch. She could only glare at me with pure venom. Cody was wincing in pain, but his teenage stubbornness won out. I don't care. Roxy takes me go-karting and plays video games with me. She's way cooler. You absolute idiot. Grandma Helen brought her mahogany cane down hard against his backside. You've rotted your brain with those games. You don't even know who your real family is. As Cody yelled in pain, Wesley rushed forward to intervene. Grandma, please. Cody is still young. He doesn't know any better. Don't hurt him. Grandma Helen gave a disdainful snort. She reached into her handbag and pulled out an exquisite velvet-lined jewelry box, snapping it open in front of everyone. Inside was a breathtaking, flawless golden bangle. Deep green and glowing with history. Gwen, sweetie, I've got your back, Grandma Helen said, sliding the cool gold onto my wrist. This is a family heirloom. It is passed down strictly to the wives of our family. Today, it belongs to you. No one else even deserves to look at it. Roxy stared at the bangle, her eyes brimming with tears of jealousy. Wesley, unable to bear her distress, spoke up hesitantly, Grandma, don't you think we should get something for Roxy too? She spends so much time keeping you company. Grandma Helen turned so slowly the entire room seemed to freeze around her. Get her something, she repeated. Her cane struck the marble floor once. Cody, come here. The teenager reluctantly shuffled over. Grandma pointed at Wesley. If your cousin's fiance asked me to buy her male best friend a family heirloom because he kept her company, what would you call that? Cody scratched his head. Weird? Weird? Grandma barked. I'd call it disrespect. Her sharp eyes landed on Wesley. And I'd call the groom an idiot. Silence. Even Wesley looked embarrassed. Grandma continued mercilessly. This bracelet has survived 4 generations of marriages. Wars. Bankruptcies. Funerals. Yet somehow the greatest threat to it is a woman who isn't even related to us. Roxy's lips trembled. I wasn't asking for the bracelet. No, Grandma interrupted. You merely let him ask on your behalf. Roxy immediately burst into tears. I never wanted to come between anyone. I discreetly unlocked my phone. Tick-tock. Rule number 27. The public self-sacrifice. When authority figures reject her, she'll insist she never wanted anything. The man will defend her anyway. I rotated the screen toward Wesley. His pupils visibly dilated. Before he could react. Wesley, Roxy sobbed. Tell them I don't care about gifts. Right on schedule. Grandma noticed the phone. What are you watching? I handed it to her. The elderly woman adjusted her reading glasses. The creator cheerfully explained every line. Notice how she cries while claiming she wants nothing. This forces everyone else to comfort her and criticize the actual girlfriend for making her cry. Grandma slowly looked up. Then, she started laughing. Not a polite chuckle. A full-bodied laugh. Oh, she's textbook. Roxy's crying stopped. What? Grandma rewound the video. The influencer continued. Step 2, she'll leave dramatically so someone chases her. Grandma folded her arms. Go on. Roxy blinked. What? Run. You've done it before, haven't you? Storm out. I'd like to see if the internet gets this one right too. The room fell deathly quiet. For the first time since I'd met her. Roxy had no script. She looked at Wesley. Normally, this was where he'd rush over. Comfort her. Take her side. Instead. He looked away. Roxy. His voice sounded exhausted. You've done a lot of these things. Her face paled. No, I haven't. You drank from my cup. You blamed Gwen for the needles. You made me chase you. You keep crying whenever anyone sets boundaries. Each sentence landed harder than the last. Roxy's composure finally cracked. You've changed. She pointed at me. It's because of her. There it is, Grandma muttered. I calmly played another clip. Rule number 41. When exposed, blame the girlfriend for brainwashing him. The influencer on screen said the exact same words Roxy had just shouted. Even Cody's mouth slowly fell open. No way. He replayed it himself. The timing was nearly identical. Roxy looked like she'd seen a ghost. No. This is edited. Grandma snorted. So is your personality. Cody suddenly walked over to me. He awkwardly handed me the signed soccer jersey. I think this belongs to you now. What? I don't really want to give it to her anymore. Roxy stared at him in disbelief. Cody? He rubbed the back of his neck. I thought Gwen was just jealous. But. He glanced at the phone again. You're kind of scary. Roxy's breathing became ragged. Everything she'd built over years was collapsing in under 10 minutes. Unable to recover, she did exactly what the playlist predicted. She spun around. I don't need any of you. She ran toward the front door. Grandma looked at Wesley. 5, 4, 3, 2. Roxy disappeared outside. Grandma smiled knowingly. 1. A second later. My phone buzzed. $20,000 transferred from Wesley. Payment note. Rule 27. Strategic victim exit. I know. I looked up. Wesley let out a defeated sigh. I'm not chasing her. Another notification arrived immediately afterward. $20,000 transferred from Wesley. Payment note. Rule 41. Blaming you for changing me. I smiled. You're learning. He gave a humorless laugh. I wish I wasn't. Grandma patted my shoulder. Sweetheart. I think we should move the wedding. Wesley looked hopeful. Earlier? Grandma smiled pleasantly. No. She looked directly at him. Far enough back for Gwen to decide whether she still wants to marry someone who needed 100 TikTok videos to recognize emotional manipulation. Wesley had absolutely no answer. The house remained eerily quiet after Roxy fled. Wesley stared at the floor. Grandma Helen took the jewelry box, closed it with a soft click, and looked at him with unmistakable disappointment. Wesley. He swallowed. Yes, Grandma? When your grandfather proposed to me, there were plenty of women who fancied themselves his best friend. Do you know what he did? Wesley shook his head. He introduced me as his future wife, and every woman in that room knew exactly where the line was. She leaned on her cane. You, on the other hand, erased the line so thoroughly that your fiance had to draft a legal contract. Nobody dared speak. Grandma continued. That is humiliating, not for Gwen. She pointed the tip of her cane at Wesley's chest. For you. That night, Wesley knocked softly on my bedroom door. Gwen. Come in. He entered carrying a folder. I've been thinking. I finally understand why you made that agreement. I looked up from my laptop. Oh? I kept assuming your problem was Roxy. He gave a bitter laugh. But the problem was me. I kept rewarding her behavior. He placed the folder on my desk. Inside were printed screenshots. Hundreds of them. Photos. Messages. Old social media posts. He had spent hours going through years of memories. I never noticed before. He rubbed his forehead. Every girlfriend I ever had disappeared after getting into arguments with Roxy. One screenshot showed Roxy hugging Wesley while glaring triumphantly at his then-girlfriend. Another showed captions like, guess who he'll always choose? Smirking face red heart. Another. Real ones stay forever. My expression remained calm. And? He looked genuinely sick. I thought she was joking. She wasn't. The next morning, Wesley asked Roxy to meet him at a cafe. I didn't go. Grandma did. She claimed she wanted entertainment. She wasn't disappointed. The second Roxy arrived, she smiled sweetly. Wes. I knew you'd come after me. I knew yesterday was just a misunderstanding. Instead of answering, Wesley slid his phone across the table. On the screen was one of her old posts. Some girls can have the title. I'll always have the man. Winking face. Roxy's smile froze. Where did you find that? I kept scrolling. Another screenshot. Future wives come and go. Best friends are forever. Another. If she can't handle our friendship, she doesn't deserve him. Her confidence visibly crumbled. Wes, those were jokes. He said nothing. She reached for his hand. He quietly moved it away. Her face went white. You've never done that before. I should have. Then came the final blow. Wesley opened his banking app. Roxy's eyes lit up. I knew it. I knew you still cared. Instead. He transferred her the exact amount she'd lent him over the years. Gas money. Movie tickets. Birthday dinners. Every cent. She frowned. Why? So we're even. Her breathing hitched. No. I don't want money. I want my best friend. Wesley slowly stood. You had him. You kept trying to make sure no one else could. Roxy finally broke. So that's it? You choose her? No. He answered quietly. I'm choosing myself. And if Gwen still wants me, I'll spend the rest of my life earning back her trust. He walked away. This time, nobody chased Roxy. She sat alone at the table, tears streaming down her face as every customer nearby pretended not to watch. When Wesley came home that evening, he didn't ask for forgiveness. He simply handed me his phone. You can look through everything. No passwords. No hidden chats. No deleted messages. If we're going to have any chance, it starts with complete transparency. I looked at the phone but didn't pick it up. Instead, I slid our agreement back across the table. He glanced at the final page. There, in bold letters, was one clause he'd laughed at when signing. If the fiancé determines that repeated violations have destroyed the foundation of trust, she may cancel the engagement without penalty or objection. Wesley's smile turned faint. I remember. I met his eyes. You finally understand why I put that clause in. He nodded. I do. And whatever you decide. I won't argue. For the first time since we'd gotten engaged, the decision wasn't being influenced by Roxy, excuses, or guilt. It belonged entirely to me. I didn't answer him that night. I simply closed the folder, returned his phone, and went upstairs. For the first time in weeks, Wesley didn't follow me. The next morning, my phone buzzed at 8:03 a.m. Unknown number. Roxy, can we talk? Woman to woman. I smiled. Rule number 52. I opened TikTok. The creator practically greeted me. Once she loses access to the man, she'll attempt to negotiate directly with the girlfriend. Don't go alone. She isn't looking for peace, she's looking for leverage. I replied with one sentence. Sure. I'll bring Wesley and Grandma Helen. 3 little dots appeared. Then disappeared. No response. Exactly. By noon, however, Roxy showed up anyway. She marched into the front yard carrying a bouquet of white lilies. I'm here to apologize. Grandma Helen looked out the window. Why do I suddenly smell nonsense? Wesley answered the door but didn't invite Roxy inside. She noticed immediately. You're not going to let me in? This is Gwen's home too. If she doesn't want you inside, you stay outside. It was such a simple sentence. Months ago, it would have sounded impossible coming from him. Roxy forced a smile. I brought flowers. I walked to the doorway. They're beautiful. I didn't take them. Her smile twitched. I wanted to apologize. For what? Everything. Be specific. Silence. I made you uncomfortable. How? Another pause. I crossed some boundaries. Which ones? She glanced desperately at Wesley. He said nothing. Finally she sighed. I drank from his cup. And? I blamed you for the needles. And? I kept trying to make him choose me. The words tasted bitter coming out. Grandma Helen nodded approvingly. Now that's an apology. For one brief second. I almost believed it. Then Roxy ruined it herself. But honestly, if you hadn't been so insecure from the beginning, none of this would have gotten so out of hand. Click. There it was. The hidden knife inside the bouquet. I slowly took out my phone. Rule number 58. The creator smiled knowingly. A fake apology always ends with making the victim partially responsible. I turned the volume up. Roxy's eyes widened. No. The influencer continued. Listen for the words if you hadn't, or I'm sorry you felt, that's not accountability. That's blame wearing makeup. Grandma Helen burst into laughter. Oh, she's batting 1,000. Even Wesley pinched the bridge of his nose. Roxy looked horrified. This app is ruining my life. No, Grandma corrected. It merely put subtitles on it. Roxy's composure shattered. She threw the bouquet onto the ground. You know what? She pointed at me. You think you've won? I've known Wesley for 15 years. You've only been here 3. You'll never erase me. I quietly looked at Wesley. Your turn. He took a slow breath. Then said the one sentence Roxy had never expected to hear. I'm not trying to erase you. I'm ending this friendship. Everything stopped. The birds. The wind. Even Grandma Helen looked mildly impressed. Roxy laughed. A strained, disbelieving laugh. Stop joking. I'm serious. No. You'll call me tomorrow. No. You always do. I won't. You can't just throw me away. I'm not. I'm walking away. She grabbed his sleeve. He gently but firmly removed her hand. I hope you find people you can have healthy friendships with. But I'm done. For the first time. There was no anger in his voice. No guilt. No hesitation. Just finality. Roxy stared at him for several long seconds. Then she realized. There really wasn't another chance. She turned and walked toward the gate. Halfway there, she stopped. She waited. 1 second. 5 seconds. 10. No footsteps came after her. No one called her name. No one begged her to come back. Her shoulders slumped. Without another word, she left. This time, for good. Grandma Helen watched her disappear down the street before turning to Wesley. Took you long enough. He gave a rueful smile. I know. Then he looked at me. I meant what I said yesterday. I'm not asking you to forgive me today. I'm asking for the chance to prove I'm no longer the man who made you sign that agreement. I folded my arms. The agreement stays. He nodded immediately. Good. And if you ever make me add another clause. I let the sentence hang. He smiled weakly. It'll probably bankrupt me. For the first time in a long while, I couldn't help but laugh. Not because everything was fixed. It wasn't. Trust wasn't rebuilt in a day. But at least, finally, everyone in the house understood one thing. A healthy relationship never has room for someone who insists on standing where the bride belongs. 3 months later. The wedding invitations had never been mailed. Instead, Wesley and I sat across from each other in the same cafe where he'd first asked me to make Roxy a bridesmaid. He slid a small velvet box across the table. I figured you'd think this was another ring. I opened it. Inside was my engagement ring. The one I'd returned weeks earlier. I had it professionally cleaned, he said quietly. Not because I expected you to wear it again. I just thought it deserved better than sitting in a drawer. I looked at him. Over the past 3 months, he had never once contacted Roxy. He had blocked her number, declined invitations from mutual friends who tried to play peacemaker, and attended counseling on his own without announcing it like he deserved a medal. Most importantly, he had stopped asking me when I would forgive him. Instead, he asked how I was feeling. He listened. And if I said I needed space, he respected it. It was the first time our relationship had actually felt like it involved 2 people instead of 3. Even so. I gently pushed the ring back toward him. I'm proud of how much you've changed. His smile faltered. But I fell in love with the man I thought you were. I rested my hands around my coffee cup. I can't marry the man I had to teach how to protect our relationship. He closed his eyes for a brief moment before nodding. I understand. There were tears in his eyes. But unlike before, he didn't argue. He didn't bargain. He didn't blame anyone else. He simply stood. I hope you're happy, Gwen. I hope you are too, Wesley. He left the cafe without looking back. And somehow, that hurt less than all the times he'd run after someone else. 6 months later, I received another bank notification. Transfer received, $10,000. Confused, I called Wesley. What's this for? He laughed awkwardly. You'll appreciate it. What happened? I was at work. A new coworker grabbed my coffee and said sharing drinks was normal. And? I instinctively heard your voice in my head. Indirect kissing disguised as sharing. I bought her a new coffee and kept mine. I couldn't help laughing. So why send me money? Because I lost the bet. What bet? I bet myself I'd never need your contract again. He sighed dramatically. I still think in penalty clauses. I shook my head, smiling. Keep your money. No. It's yours. The transfer memo simply read. Best lesson I ever paid for. Another year passed. Grandma Helen invited me to her 77th birthday. I don't care if you're not marrying my grandson, she declared over the phone. You're still coming. When I arrived, she pulled me into a hug before anyone else could. You know, she whispered, I always wanted a granddaughter. She pressed the old family bangle into my hands. I tried to refuse. I can't take this. She smiled. It stopped belonging to the family the day my grandson forgot how to act like one. Tears stung my eyes. Grandma. Keep it. It's no longer an heirloom. It's a reminder. A reminder of what? She squeezed my hand. Never shrink yourself just to make someone else comfortable. As for Roxy. I heard she went through 3 different best friends in 2 years. Each friendship ended the same way. Jealousy. Manipulation. Drama. Without someone willing to chase after her, her old tricks stopped working. People often asked if I regretted walking away. I always smiled. No. Because losing a fiance was temporary. Losing my self-respect would have lasted forever. And somewhere in my cloud storage, untouched but never deleted, sat a playlist titled 100 Pick-Me-Girl Tactics Everyone Should Know. It had saved me a wedding. It had earned me $50,000. And, most importantly, it had reminded me that the right relationship